Hey everybody, welcome back. This is my review of my 2016 Land Rover Evoque. I've had this for almost 3 years now, and I thought I'd give you a look around the car, give you my kind of pros and cons of this vehicle. So this particular model has got the upgraded bodywork on it, so it's a HSE model. So you'll notice the lights here and this section here is a lot chunkier than on the standard model, and it also has the black Range Rover badges, and there's no silver on it, which I really like. And it's got also the blacked out alloys as well. And I do like this colour combination of the black roof. It's also got a panoramic sunroof and the silver. I think it looks really, really good. So this is HSE TD4. It's got the black exhaust pipes. Got blacked out windows. It also has a spoiler as well. And on 2016 models, you will notice it has these like little sort of sections on the spoiler, little winglets as such. Now, one of the things I'm going to point out here is that what I've noticed on this car compared to sort of my Audis and Mercedes in the past, is some crazy panel gaps on this model anyway. I don't know if that's a common thing with Range Rovers, but panel gap seems to be a problem on this car, and it varies. The panel gaps can vary depending on the side you're looking at. So on this side you can see there's kind of certain sort of spacing. If I just walk around again this side, you'll notice that things like this isn't in line with this, it's slightly out. And yeah, in some cases the door here is closer than it is on the other side, so some strange things, but that's just how it is. So inside, sorry it's really windy today in the UK, but we've got electric operated memory seats. And this has also got the Meridian sound system, which is absolutely fantastic. It sounds brilliant. The seats are also adjustable. It's got lumbar support that's adjustable, and they are incredibly comfortable. They're very, very supportive seats, and they are super comfortable, especially on long journeys. Nice big armrest in the middle as well. And I absolutely love the interior of this car. Very well made, very high quality squidgy materials. It's probably one of the best interiors I've had on a car in terms of its quality. You can see the panoramic sunroof as well. And if I just flip this forward, so you can move the seats electronically, but you can see at the back, enough room for 2 large adults. You won't want to be at the back too long, but with the panoramic sunroof it does add some extra light in here. And there's also some vents at the back, and the seats do fold, and there's a centre armrest as well. There is no luggage port, so you can't put things through. I don't think you can anyway. Let me just double check that. Yeah, it's got this solid piece in the middle, so you can't put that, but they have got cup holders in here. Nice supportive area and adjustable head restraints. And one of the clear things you can see here is that there is very, very little visibility out that back window. It is tiny, and on really rainy days, and if it gets dirty, you can't see a bloody thing. So that's something to be aware of. It's got these huge columns as well at the back, so it does kind of restrict your visibility. But, you know, that's what you get with these sorts of cars. So you get a decent sized boot. It's probably one of the smallest boots I've had on one of my vehicles, but it's nice and flat. I've got this additional thing that I've added in here just for keeping it easy to clean. Got 12-volt charging points, you've got little tethering points as well. You can't fold the seats back from here, you have to kind of go into the back and do it, which is a bit annoying, but other than that, it's a nice usable space. It's got these metal bits to protect it as well. And so inside, just show you the key fob, very basic key fob, doesn't really do very much, but as long as this is anywhere near the kind of inside the car should start with the start stop. So you press the brake pedal down and you'll see things light up, and also this opens or lifts up at the bottom so you can see that as well. As I said, the driving position, the comfort in this car is fantastic. It's an incredibly comfortable car, especially on long journeys. You really appreciate all the touches and the feeling material they put in here. So this has got 180 brake horsepower from a 2-litre engine. It's the Ingenium engine which they updated in 2016. And I would recommend, if you're looking at one of these, go for one which has got the upgraded engine and has got the 2-litre. The older ones I think have 2.2 litre in them, are slightly rougher engines, and this is much more efficient. So talking about efficiency, here is the entertainment system, and it isn't the best. This is probably one of the worst kind of entertainment systems I've had in a car. It's really, really slow. It's not great to use, but it's a little bit dated now as well. So it doesn't have anything like Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, but on here you can kind of scroll through this, and if I go into things like eco data, it tells you a little bit about my kind of eco advanced trip driving style. I'm trying to find out where it tells you your fuel economy actually. Is it in here? No. This is one of the things with this, I don't find it very easy to utilize. Here we go. So it's saying that I've had, around about 41 miles per gallon on my last couple of journeys, but I've been doing very local driving recently, so only very short journeys. This car likes long journeys, so if you're into very, very short journeys, it's probably not the best car for that. Also, with the engine, diesel engines from like 2016 onwards, I think, they've got the DPF filter, which again gets clogged easily if you don't drive this car regularly. So it likes long journeys because it helps keep that filter clean. And I've also filled this up with Optimax diesel, and that seems to prevent that problem from happening as well. So just something to be aware of. But this system here, it's a heavy car, and even though it's 180 brake horsepower, 0 to 60 in about 8.5 seconds, it doesn't feel particularly quick. Okay, so just keep that in mind. It's not like a sporty car. The drive in it though is very comfortable. So if you want something that's more comfortable, this is great. What I noticed from going from this car, when I went from my Audi A5 to this, was the driving position is fantastic. You get to see a lot of the road, and I really, really like this kind of higher driving position. Really suits me. The audio system on this is fantastic, works really well, it sounds brilliant. However, the interface is terrible. So the audio system on this, when you actually go into the audio itself, everything runs really slowly. The DAB radio system doesn't search for channels very easily. When you're scrolling through things, it works pretty poorly. The sat nav is incredibly slow, so it's not the best to use, so I never use it really. I tend to use my phone. So the interface for this is dated. It doesn't work the best. However, the sound system is fantastic. The Meridian sound system sounds brilliant, and the subwoofer sounds great with all your music. Down here you've got some CD controls if you want to listen to CDs, and obviously you can skip and fast forward tracks as well if you listen to MP3s, etc. Down here we've got heated seats, so you can heat your seats, works really nicely. Gets very, very warm very quickly. Air conditioning, and you've then got your kind of controls for going off-road, which I never use, so I can't really tell you much about that. The armrest is adjustable, so you can lift it up and you can move it back and forth. There's a little storage area there with a 12-volt charger, and then you've got your cup holders and your cigarette lighter as well. I actually like the fact that all the climate controls are manual rather than having to be completely digital, so I actually like that feature. I know on some of the newer Range Rovers I think it's slightly different now, but that for me is great. I like the fact it's tactile, you can got this like rubber feeling to them. Everything is very, very high quality. It feels really, really good. On the steering wheel, again, you've got controls, so you can control things like your music and stuff, and fast forward. You've got a small computer on here which you can control also using these controls. Again, I don't really use it that often. There's not a lot of useful features on there, but you can switch things off. One thing is great is you can switch off some of the safety features, such as changing lane beeping that happens, and some of the other things like that you can control as well. Tire pressure monitoring, all that kind of stuff. You can control that all through this. And then you've got things like cruise control, and you've also got the speaker system that allows you to speak and control things, which is terrible, never works, so I never really use that. Phone controls as well for your phone, which works great. And you've also got these flappy paddles. Now the flappy paddles are for this kind of DSG style of gearbox. Now this gearbox, again, I don't know why you would have these paddles. They don't work very well at all. There's such a slow gear change that it's completely pointless. So the fact that it's got this, yes, maybe a bonus for some people, but for me it's not relevant for a car of this style anyway. It's not a sports car, but yeah, you can see on here cruise control buttons, and again electrically operated windows. All feels very, very nice. You've also got a blind that you can press this button here, and that will close this electrically operated blind, so you can completely shut it off. I'll just stop it there, but you get the idea. So that's quite a nice feature as well on a really sunny day if it's too bright. Has got a reverse parking camera on this. At the moment it's very clear because the car's been cleaned, and it's pretty usable camera. However, as soon as it gets dirty, and that camera is completely useless. So something to be aware of on really dirty days where weather is not great, the camera isn't very useful. It would have been good to have a cover on it or something, but they haven't done that. But generally it's pretty decent, and you will have to rely on that camera because the rear visibility is so poor that you do have to rely on that camera quite a bit. So like I said, driving this car is super, super easy. It is a very comfortable car to drive. I'm going down a bumpy lane at the moment, and it just absorbs bumps so easy. It's absolute pleasure to drive. It's one of the most comfortable cars I've driven so far. And I've had a lot of sporty cars with sport suspension, and even though this has got big wheels, it seems to absorb bumps really, really well. And the gearbox is really responsive, so it works well, nice and quiet inside the cabin. And it's got about like 9 gears on this thing, so it might be slightly excessive in terms of how many gears it's got, but it's a very, very comfortable car to drive long journeys with great ease. It's just, yeah, the view and the visibility of the road is fantastic. It's a really, really windy day today, so probably not the best day to film, but unfortunately I'm running out of time when I'm going to hold this car until tomorrow, so it's my last day I can actually film it. But I've absolutely loved owning this car, and I do highly recommend them. If you do want to move into something like a Range Rover, this is a great car to go for, and you can pick them up, decent ones, really, really cheap, under 20 grand. So what do I like about this car? I love the fact that the driving position is fantastic. If you're going from something like a saloon car to something like this, you'll notice a big difference in the fact that you're in a much better driving position. It's an incredibly comfortable driving position, and it's great for those long journeys. I said I went from sportier cars, so this was a big change for me, and I really liked it. I liked being slightly higher up, especially being short. I'm only 5'4", so I noticed a big difference when you're driving around. Better visibility of the road, you can look over things that you can't normally see, and that's a real plus. I love how this car feels. It's so high quality. You feel almost very regal driving a car like this. I know this is only like the Evoque, it's the lowest of the Range Rovers, but you do feel special. Getting into a vehicle like this makes you feel special, and it is a special experience being inside here. You do feel like you're driving something that, has got a bit of quality to it, it's got a, decent badge to it, and you do feel a little bit special. That said, what I have noticed in this car is that Other drivers won't like you so much. And what do I mean by that? Well, you'll notice when you're at junctions and you're trying to pull out, people see that you're in a Range Rover and they basically treat you like crap. They treat you like you're the biggest arsehole that's ever existed on the planet. And that is a real shame, but to be honest, I think I used to feel like that as well about Range Rover drivers. And so I have noticed in this car, it's hard to pull out of junctions. People just generally don't let you out. As soon as they see that Range Rover badge, it's kind of like a Red Bull flag thing where people just think, you must be an idiot, so I'm not going to let you out. But other than that, my experience has been fantastic. I said, this has been a great car. I've enjoyed driving it. It's actually been a reliable car as well. Now, this car only needs servicing every 2 years, and so that can be a plus from a servicing perspective. I've never had any problems with it. It's always worked really well. I know lots of people complain about Range Rovers, but to be honest, as long as you service it regularly and make sure that it's serviced well, I don't see why you'd have any problems. It seems to do the job really well. I said, I've never had any technical issues. I've never had any electrical issues. So yeah, I can't really comment other than my experience. So if you're looking for one of these cars, I also recommend going for the highest model that you can afford. Unfortunately, Range Rovers, like lots of German manufacturers or these sort of luxury style of cars, they don't give you a lot unless you buy the higher spec. So this is a HSE model, and even with this one, there's certain things that I haven't got that other cars have got. But go for the highest spec you can get, because you'll regret it, and you'll get kit and things that you would wish you had, or you thought you're going to get, that you don't get unless you go for the higher models. So I'd always go for a HSE spec if you can, or above the SE spec, especially if you're looking at something on the 2016 and onwards. Try and get the highest spec you can. If you're going to buy a vehicle like this as well, keep in mind that it prefers longer journeys. If you're just pootling to the shops and back, you might get sort of issues with the diesel particulate filters. It likes to be run, so even every now and again, take it for a good run and you shouldn't have any problems. I said I use Shell Optimax fuel, and that's stopped me from having any issues. Well, I believe it's been that stopped me from having any issues with the DPF filter. But yeah, make sure you drive it regularly and you shouldn't have any problems, and make sure it's serviced regularly, and again, it should be a really reliable car. If you've got any questions in regards to my car, or any questions that I can help you with, leave it in the comments. If you found it helpful, please give it a thumbs up, and I shall catch you in the next video.